Another episode of DIOTALK. I'm Dio. Let's talk. I would like to welcome my guest today. She's an actress, producer, writer, fellow entrepreneur. So many titles I can't keep up. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Lorena Jorge. Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm at the height of my career in this moment, so I'm super ecstatic for the things coming.
I feel that. You're a busy bee. I feel that.
I try to stay busy and productive. I think that's the major component of always keeping yourself busy.
Yes. You have man, you got a lot of things going on. You've done a lot of things too.
I have. And most people think I'm too young to do it, but I've been in the game for 20 years. So
yes, really?
Yeah. It's just the outside that keeps up. It's held up.
You got your production company, Hidden Roots, which I think is a dope name.
Thank you.
You have your podcast coming out soon, right? Or did you drop it already?
No, the podcast it was both. I was hired on the Latin Dish with two other Latinas, which was really, really dope. Just concept of just three Latinas from three different walks of life, three different backgrounds. Jal is Colombian. Paloma was half Mexican and half Cuban, and then me being Dominican. It was a really great.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. De pura cepa, como dijimos.
Yes.
But it was a really great concept of a show, the podcast Latin Dish, and then out of it, the producer who hired me basically saw my unique take on love and just life and dating, and so he offered me my own podcast, which was Lorena on Love. We were able to record about 3 episodes, and then the pandemic hit, which kind of sucked because we were just getting the gears going and really just having so much fun in the studio. But I hope they'll come back. And definitely right now they're just kind of redirecting and trying to see what the times right now it dictates.
And this, how is it? Because you're in LA right now, right?
Yes,
that's where you live at. How do I say it? How has it been readjusting now after pandemic over there?
I mean, I want to say in Los Angeles, we took it pretty serious, which is a good thing. And when it came to the readjustment, I think the fact that people were really strict about it made it a little easier. Funny enough, I think still being normal when like going to places that people weren't taking it that seriously. Like I went to Texas and I was like, are we in the pandemic? What's going on? It's a whole different other world.
Yeah. A lot of people from LA, like out of nowhere, you just picked up and moved to Texas.
Yeah, a lot of people did. A lot of people. I think it weeded out the weak because Los Angeles is a beast. But I want to say, I mean, I struggled with COVID because I definitely had it and I battled it 2 months. So that was something that was very scary, and it left me a little trauma. I'm not gonna lie.
Yes. Hey, all of us.
So I'm like, what's going on? I'm gonna need personal space.
Yes.
People that it's so funny. I hate to say that. Sometimes some of my friends are like, oh no, I'm just doing a small get together. And I'm like, oh, okay, let me look at their Instagram. Oh, you out partying. Yeah. Not going to see your ass.
Yeah. That's how it be though. How it be.
So I think with LA, I think it's, you had those that are like because we're super liberal out here, right? Yeah. So you had those that are definitely like, I'm not wearing a mask. What is this mandate? I want to be free. And that created a little bit of chaos and conflict between people. But relatively, people are very conscious of like respecting other people and giving people's rights. So, there's the few ones.
And we should that shouldn't be because we're in pandemic respect everybody's boundaries. That should be something that normal, right?
Should be set in stone. Like let's mutual respect. It's a two-way street.
Yes. What's crazy is you're actually from the East Coast, right?
Yes.
So
I'm
a
New Yorker.
You left one monster civilization to go into another one. What's the difference between East and West?
I want to say the difference is they're two different beasts, right? The career is definitely challenging in both in both markets, whether East or West Coast. I think it's definitely a competitive field. But what I learned being an East Coaster, you know, we're about the grind. We're about always working. We're definitely hustling. So a lot of people come into LA and get lost in the sauce, you know, get lost in the sun and the partying and the lax. So they kind of lose their focus and the distance. Everything is so far in Los Angeles. Los Angeles is huge. So you can feel really just distant from people and also have to make that extra effort to create relationships out here because everyone is so spread apart. I think in New York, what kind of acts the same way is the cold, you know, because people in New York City, once winter hits, is like, we're going to hibernating mode. We're like, we'll see you later. We'll see you come spring, you know, come February and March. So if somebody moves to the East Coast in the midst of winter, it's a little hard to really create that social, like that support system, unless you're tied to a school or a job, you know, that's kind of easier. But things that I miss from the East Coast is the nightlife, because out here it's kind of whack. It's kind of weak. Everything closes at 2 a.m. It's just like 1:30, they're already taking your drink. Like, so imagine now in the pandemic, it's even worse. It's like, oh no, we're not even supposed to be out. Let's take everything. So I miss the nightlife. I miss the food, being able to get food at whatever time.
And you'll get it,
whatever cuisine. Whereas in LA, West Coast is more like 10 o'clock, it's a wrap. Like, you better get your order in by 9.
And everything's closer here. Like everything, like at least you got a bodega, you know, pick me up a sandwich or something. Like,
yes, I miss the chopped cheese. Those are the things that I miss: the food, the nightlife, and my family, of course, my family and friends, because
which is all essential.
Yes, all essential.
How long have you been in LA right now?
11 years now.
Wow, damn.
Time has flown.
Yes, especially with this pandemic. Like,
look, man, I can't. When people talk to me, I'm like, wait, hold on, what year was that? Oh, it was 20. Oh shit, damn, we're 3 years past. Like, I can't even believe it.
We lost at least good 2 years, I think.
Totally.
It was ridiculous.
How was it for you?
Well,
are you in New York?
I'm in New Jersey City. I'm like literally 15 minutes from the Harlem Tunnel.
Okay.
It was I didn't get I don't want to say I got affected because like I was still working, but it was peaceful because the roads were like empty. Like, but then something happened. I left my job and I just started this entrepreneurs thing. I started this podcast to get the spotlight, people like yourself, small business, to help them out.
Awesome.
Yeah. And
you're starting things up when it's, you're just like, I'm going to do something for myself right now.
Yeah.
Take advantage of the silence. And
what's crazy has been something I've always wanted to do. I never capitalized on it. Just once you have a job and you gotta fucking pay bills and things like that, like you lose track of time. Next thing you know, 3 years pass. I've been doing my life. and this is what the pandemic did.
That's awesome. Congratulations that it had a positive impact.
Try to do my part,
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm actually trying to I only done one episode so far. Do a balance between Spanish episodes and English episodes.
Okay, that's great.
It's very difficult. Because I'm half Puerto Rican. I grew up in Puerto Rico. Okay. So everybody I get is like, sí, ya mismo. I'll do it right now. 5 minutes of the show, they canceled.
Damn.
So it's a work in progress,
Like everything else. You'll get it there. Definitely. What's the other half?
Dominican.
Oh, I sensed it.
Yeah, tú sabes.
Yeah, I was just like,
I got the best of the both worlds,
That you do. I can't complain.
Yeah.
My Puerto Rican neighbors.
There you go. Family. Almost there.
Yeah, almost. A boat away.
literally.
No, totally. Hey, I got a couple of family members in Puerto Rico too, so they found their way.
Yes. I wanted to ask you when you first, because I was reading, you wanted to be a lawyer, you wanted to be a doctor, right? That's essential. Like when your families are like they come from the country and they moved here, right? They want you to be something valuable.
Of course.
Right. They didn't believe in that musician shit. No, you either gonna be a doctor, an accountant.
What is that?
Yes. They didn't. No. When you told them like, all right, I'm still gonna go to college, right? But I found this, and this is my passion. What was that conversation like?
Well, I can say my mom has always, she's always been my cheerleader. She's always been kind of living vicariously through me a little bit because she's very artistic herself and loves fashion. She has a boutique in New York. So
nice.
She's been in the business for like 35 to 40 years. So like I was always her dress up child. She always dressing me up in some way. So she was extremely supportive. My father, I think, of course, he had that whole dream of like, una doctora en la familia, to fight the cause,
Toma, right? Whoever talks shit, toma.
Exactly, like, toma, if we get into some legal issues, my daughter's here.
Right here. Yes.
That was always a dream. And there's just certain moments where I did have to where I had to fight for my dad's behalf. And he'll look at me, he goes, ¿Qué tan abogada hubiera sido? And I'm like,
coñazo.
Yeah, all that. And I'm just like, papi, but still, I could be a lawyer on TV, like best of both worlds. You know what I mean?
Lo mismo.
No, lo mismo. But my father was really apprehensive. He was just concerned of how the industry, as a woman, as a Latina woman, to, how are they gonna take advantage? And I think, thankfully, once he saw me on stage and saw the effect that I had on people through the characters that I played, that was something that I still keep dear to my heart, because he was just like, how do you do it? Yeah, how do you do it? And he gave me his blessing after a show, and he had told me, he was just like, lo que tú haces a la gente sentir es inolvidable y es un regalo de Dios. And that was just so pure and so genuine for my father to kind of let me spread my wings and also really trust the fact that he's given me a sense of morale and value that will never go astray, Yeah.
I meant to that though. I meant to that because at least, you gotta look at it, was it the glass half full? Because you still went to college, you got your bachelor's degrees, right?
Yeah, I have my bachelor's degree.
So like, when I read the article, like your article was like, you still have that safety net. So you're prepared, you're which is admirable, because a lot of people they go to LA or just move to these places and they're never prepared, right? Anything can happen.
Yeah.
And it's something to admire you, especially.
Thank you.
Especially, La Latina, that, this is our time to stand up.
Absolutely. And that's one of those things that I always pride myself in, to put in the work and maintain my morals and my values and get up the right way, climb the ladder the right way.
Yeah.
I'm a Capricorn, so I'm the GOAT. We're going to climb that mountain. We're going to climb that mountain.
I got you.
However we go, el chinito va a llegar.
Yeah. De ladito.
Exacto.
But what's crazy is like, although I grew up in Puerto Rico, like I wasn't, I was never taught our values as a Latino, right? So, I was just basically left in the corner, and I as I grow older and life experience and whatnot, like I started learning, and now that like I'm a year in doing this podcast, and I go out and try to be social with people, and I see a Hispanic person, I talk to them Spanish. I talk to you in Spanish. I remember I posted one time, if I talk to you in Spanish, you talk to me Spanish.
Yeah. I mean, there's some people that get offended, and I get it a little bit, because everybody has a different walk of life, and they have identity crisis, and some people don't speak Spanish, although they look so Spanish. So they're just like, I remember.
But those I speak Spanish, like I know they speak Spanish. Like there's a thing, I don't know.
Hey, you're trying to deny your Latina. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Look, I will always remember one girl that I met, and her name was Angela, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was speaking to her in Spanish, and this was when I was in the sales in the beauty industry. And I was like, oye, me puedes? And then she looked at me like, I don't speak Spanish. And I was like, your name is Angela, okay?
Yeah. Telenovela Angela.
Yeah, like I have like, my last name Jorge or George or everyone would say it's like, but you have like Hernandez. Like, come on. Like,
you can't get more Spanish than that.
You can't get more Spanish than that. But it's everybody's different, different walk of life. So that was a learning experience for me to then just let people choose. Whatever language they want to speak to. And I don't mind either one. You can speak Spanish, whatever.
Like as I grown into this, right? Like I see like a lot of cultures united, you got the black, you got the white, you got the Arabics, you got whatever. And like I feel in a sense I'm alone, right? Because I've been like I told you before, like this, trying to do it in Spanish. This is something I've been trying to do for so long, and it's like the support and unity is not there for me, right? Yeah. In my experience, not for everybody. And
I think you're right. I think when it comes to Latinos in general, it's kind of hard because I always would speak to my dad about this because a lot of Latinos have that crab in a barrel mentality, even when it comes to your own family members. It's like when some people feel like you're escalating, there's a sense of jealousy or a sense of feeling of inferiority, which it shouldn't. You should always just kind of promote and really encourage, because if you win, I win. That's how I always see it. If I win, you win. And unfortunately, with Latinos, especially, I think people, especially in America, we've grown to like be like, no, I'm Mexican, no, I'm Dominican, no, I'm Puerto Rican, no, I'm Peruvian, no, I'm like, and so it creates this kind of disparity between cultures, and without realizing we still got the same conquerors.
Yes,
let's get to the nitty gritty. For the most part, they've all been conquered either by France, either by England, or Spain, like one or the other. So we should unite rather than
I have a friend, which I'm not gonna mention his name. We was having a conversation, right? And we were talking about Spider-Man, Miles Morales, right? The new one, the Negrito, right?
Yeah.
And he's half black and half I think Puerto Rican. Yeah, so he's Afro-Latino.
Yeah.
And like he's like, I never knew that. And like, and this may sound controversial, but I'm gonna speak my truth because that's how I feel. And I could be wrong. I'm open to be wrong. For as long as they educate me respectfully, right? Like I told them, because in this world, at least in America, there's only white and blacks. There's no room for everybody else.
Yeah.
So everything, it's so diverse in that sense that, like I said, I'm a dad. I have a son. Like I want to see my culture grow. I want to be a part of that. I want to have that unity. I want to be a part of something special.
Yeah.
And it frustrates me, like when I see like John Leguizamo, things like half Colombian, half Puerto Rican. I'm not sure, but he's always like, I don't know. And LA is like a big thing, Latin X, right? Right. Like he's always preaching unity and this and that, but nobody's hearing him out. Nobody's supporting him. Nobody, and I find that very, like, even when the movie Encanto came out and they won the awards and all this, like, still I don't see nobody jumping.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's we have to start creating. I mean, this is definitely our time, right? We're making strides. We're making strides when it comes to different shows, when it comes to different movements, when it comes to just having people of our demographic in different positions, whether it's as a reporter or as a writer or as a producer or as an actor. We're making these strides, but I think the important thing that we have to know as to create that unity is once we get to a certain position, to be able to throw the rope back, to be able to throw the rope and bring it bring people in and also fight for those people. You know, one of the things that I really appreciate from Lakeith, right? Lakeith was one of the actors that was in Get Out and of The Photograph. And I remember him putting out where he was, because, you know, he's climbing and he's at the top of his game, I should say. And one of the things that he did when it came to one of the next roles that he was going to take on, and they were like, oh, you know, we have this love interest and so forth and so on. And it was one of the things that he said is like, all right, my love interest got to be dark skin, like chocolate, not light skin, and there was just like, people were just like, oh. And so he kind of made that happen. So you do have to kind of stand on your 2 feet and on your moral and your value, what you want, the change that you want to see.
100%. 100%.
So yeah, I think throwing, you know, being able to, when you're in that position, saying like, even when it comes to, I want to say, when they had asked me in certain roles that I played, you know, who do you want when it comes to hair, makeup, and so forth. And I've been the person to be very vocal and say, I don't care what she is, as long as it's a person of color.
Boom,
like,
yes.
You know what I'm saying? When it comes to, and it takes a lot of courage to do that, you know? And I think that's the hardest thing for us as people of color, is that as we escalate, one, to think that there's enough of the pie to share, because that's also the problem, that a lot of people are like, yo, I've worked my ass off over here. I don't want the next comer to take my spot. And it's like, no, there's enough spots at the table to get fed, you know? And also to then on top of that, to be the person to be like, okay, you come in and I want this next person to be this and that. And that's really tough, because we always are so, you know, it's so hard to get the opportunity, that we're just so grateful to have it, that we don't want to ruffle any feathers or stir the pot. And sometimes we have to stir the pot. We have to, you know, it's like how my mom would always say, you know, the squeaky wheel gets the oil, you know, la boca cerrada, no le dan de comer, you know, like closed mouth don't get fed.
Yeah, so, closed mouths don't get fed in the boulevard.
Correct. So we have to be able to, you know, stand up and help each other. And it takes a while. You know, I think John Leguizamo's doing a great thing as really being a voice. You know, I know Luis Guzman has done it as well.
Yes.
Has been a voice to really spread Latinidad and now start to create different opportunities and be able to, you know, not be afraid. And I think naturally it's embedded in us to be afraid, you know.
Yeah.
It's hard to get here.
Yeah, it's especially in this time. Like I've noticed, God, how do I say this? I'm doing my best to keep it professional when it comes to these topics, right?
Yeah, it's okay. You can go, you know.
No, because they suspended my YouTube account because of this.
Oh, okay.
Right? So yeah.
APG.
Yeah. It's I just like the fact that when you're Latino, right, and you're dark color, they categorize you as you're already black.
Correct.
Yeah, and like Gamora, I can't remember her name. The lady who plays yeah, she's Dominican.
Yeah.
She's a beautiful Indian Dominican straight hair. That shit drives me crazy.
Yeah. But you know, one of the things is that unfortunately is that we have to educate, you know.
Yes.
And I can say again, it's being able to open our mouths and not be afraid to ruffle feathers. You know, even when it came to the last project that I just did, which was heavily like, it has a lot of Mexican influences, but hiring me as an Afro-Latina. And they were very, very encouraging and welcoming and taking my feedback and me also taking the stand of like, okay, this is a place where I can really give my background and educate on what makes me who I am and our culture, you know, of saying, oh, I'm gonna wear my hair naturally curly, I'm gonna really embrace that and really showcase that because that's how I naturally wear it. So I want it to be on TV so that little girls with curly hair can really identify themselves with, I also, when it came down to the history, I'm like, oh, no. In Dominican Republic, we didn't have any Aztecs, Mayans, Incas. We had Taino Indians,
Yes.
and really being like, oh, okay. And why I identify as Afro-Latina is because my grandfather have my family is the United Colors of Benetton, is a UN. We're all come from all different shades, from like my older brother's darker than I am. My younger brother's a little lighter than I am. My grandfather was much darker. And people are like, oh, well, Afro-Latina, that means you have black. And I'm just like, yeah, it's the African diaspora. Everybody done screwed everybody.
Yes.
And everybody with each other.
Yes.
So this is where the curls come from, and my more broader features, and to really embrace that and showcase that as standards of beauty. There's also just as beautiful, know, and stop the whitewashing that unfortunately so many different countries continue to grab. I remember people would tell me, because I have this habit of doing this. And so they were like, no, hazte así para que te afine la nariz. And I'm like, what do you mean? Que me afine la nariz? My nose is good. What are you saying to me? But it's those like backhand compliments.
Yes, that hurt.
And you're just like, what? Ah, no, el pelo tuyo está, tú sabes. Bueno, tú tienes como medio bueno, malo, ¿qué? And you're like,
yes. No.
So,
Yeah, I get 100%. Nah, fuck that noise. Nah. You gotta love yourself, but that's what the media, that's what everybody promotes. You get what I'm saying? Like, we live in, I'm not gonna ask you how old are you, what year you were born. That's totally unethical. But I'll say this, right? You have to be like, nowadays, everything it's you have to be liked. You gotta bite your fucking tongue. And you got to be liked. In order for you to progress in anything, in job, whatever, you got to be liked. And hard work has gone to shit.
Oh yeah.
And it is difficult for me to progress in that life because everything I've got I've earned. And the more you continue that, they start censoring. You can't talk about COVID-19. You'll get blocked. You can't talk about certain topics. You get blocked. So essential the freedom of speech is going to shit. Yeah.
Oh, dude, there is so many. You really have to be mindful of what you say because you will get. We're living in a culture, in a cancel culture. They're trying to cancel everybody, and it's one of those things that the times have changed. We're living in super sensitive times.
Super.
I always say address everything with kindness, with the respect. Certain moments, I remember I did a short film called Keep Delete, which was amazing. And the whole crew was women, the cast was predominant, like all women. And it was such an amazing experience to be among such amazingly talented women. And they all different from different walks. We had queer, we had lesbian, we had all different non-binary and fluid. And one of the things that you saw the difference is that there was the care to know what you identify as, and to make it an effort to address the person how they would want to be addressed. And don't get me wrong, it's sometimes it's a little confusing.
Yes.
I remember, when one of the directors, she was talking and she had mentioned they, and then I was like, they my co-star or they my the background, because we had background at the same time. And it's just asking questions and not being afraid to learn, because we're all learning this whole just new way. Even with Latinx, it was something where people are like, oh, you're Latinx, and I'm like, no, I'm Latina. I still identify with the female gender. And they're like, oh, so you don't like Latinx, you like Latina? And I'm like,
yeah, they come for you.
Yeah, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
no, I like both. I like
Yeah.
both. I just don't identify as one or the other, because essentially Latinx and Latina, what it does is that it takes away gender and allows inclusivity of people that don't necessarily identify with either gender. So I think use it within the proper context and just always move with respect and ask. You don't do anything by asking.
I agree 100%. I remember I have a younger sister. I think she's like 18 or 19, right? And I went to Philly for a premiere, and she was talking about like in binary and Latinx and all this, and I was just asking questions, and she came at me. She came at me.
She's like, you don't know this?
Oh, you gotta respect. You gotta. I'm like, whoa, calm down, because you can't expect somebody to respect you if you haven't given them the heads up. You haven't have sat down and explained to them what is that you want the world to represent you as.
Yeah, and it takes some time for people also. You know, I think sometimes we're so quick to, like, I was on a set where a really super huge notable, cinematographer, like that, he's old school, it's that old time, is that old mentality. And to me, it could come across very sexist and racist, and all these different things, but then you start to realize that the person doesn't have ill intention, it's no malice. It's just unfortunately ignorance and not having learned or I want to say moved with the times. So it just takes a moment to be like, hey, so yeah, this term, we don't use it no more,
It's like if you go to like Starbucks and versus Dunkin' Donuts, have a medium or large, and you go to Starbucks, it's like have a venti or whatever the size is, like that's a medium. Say medium.
It still confuses me. I'm like, I'm not a big I don't drink coffee at all. So when people ask me, they're like, hey, can you grab me a cup of coffee? I'm like, write it down. They're like, what? I was like, write it down, because I don't know. They get real complicated. Y'all get real complex with these coffee orders. Like, you want a certain type of milk, you want 2 sugars, you want half and half, you want
goat milk. We have goat milk.
No. I'm like, just give me regular.
Yes, 100%.
But yeah, no, you hit it right on the mark. It's just adjusting.
But it's a lot. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's a lot. We live in a time that, because everything is so accessible, everything's a traffic, music, filming, writing, people's emotions. Sometimes everything's a traffic. There's so much of everything, and like I shut the TV off. I shut the radio off. It's overwhelming trying to, because you don't want to come off as judgmental either, right? Or disrespectful, like let's go back to your hut. Sometimes that's what I do. Right?
Yeah. Sometimes you have to. Sometimes you have to reassess.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to reassess, reflect, and readdress.
Yes.
Those are the things to me. I'm like, okay, let me reflect on this. Oh, let me reassess.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot to handle. It's a lot to deal with. One thing growing up, like my son's autistic, right? So, until you haven't lived with an autistic child, you don't know what is, like you don't know.
You don't know
right?
What to and how to handle.
So
I don't know if you've seen the show As We See It, but if you haven't, I would recommend it. As We See It is on, I think it's on Amazon, Amazon Prime. And it is amazing because the creator, his son is autistic. And he's in the 20s, his son already. And him as a creator, he wanted to create a show that follows 3 characters, and he wanted people on the spectrum. So he cast actors that are all on the spectrum. And he casts from actors to crew members, from editors to camera, all different areas, even to having an advocate on set while filming to be able to kind of speak to neuroverse and people where they can really come together and really know how to associate and converse in a way of respectfully. And it's an amazing show. It has 1 season, hopefully gets a 2nd season.
I'm definitely gonna check it out.
Yeah, check it out. It follows 3 characters that are, actors are super amazingly talented. But I did appreciate the fact that they took the consideration of hiring people on the spectrum.
That's beautiful. That makes me happy.
Yeah.
That makes me happy.
One of the lead actors, he said he was like, he didn't find out he was autistic till 5 years ago. So that's something where it even blew my mind getting, hearing him speak on a panel and him sharing that, because he was a comedic actor. So doing stand-up, it allowed a world for kind of idiosyncrasies to kind of blossom and be okay. But he still felt alone. And there was a lot of moments where a lot of his ways weren't received well. And he didn't understand. And once he got diagnosed, it was like, oh, this is what it is.
Yeah, and it's something that's been around since like the 1944, to be exact. And everybody talks about it, but it's like you talk about it, but you don't know nothing, nothing about it.
Yeah.
But thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think
I'm definitely gonna check it out.
Yeah, check it out. I mean, I wouldn't recommend you to do it with your son because it's a little, I don't know how old your son is, but
he's 5. He's all right.
Okay. Yeah. Don't. It's a little. It's not PC. So
I get it.
It's not PG.
I get it.
You can check it out a little later.
I got it. I wanted to ask you when you first when you moved to LA, what was your first casting? Was it what do you remember your first casting? Was it a commercial? Was it a show? Was it a movie?
I think my first casting, I want to say my first really big casting where I was like, oh, this is it. It was for a show with Monica Potter. It was in the Warner Brothers lot.
Wow.
And I remember walking in like, oh my God, and seeing, the big water tank with the WB and being like, oh, Mommy, I made it. I don't even got the job yet, but I'm like, I made it.
I'm here.
I'm on the lot. I didn't sneak in. I'm actually supposed to be here. And it was really just exciting to just be there and to be given the opportunity and to have a free audience, right? Because that's how I see auditions is a free audience to see my work. And I don't necessarily ever think that you're there to identify, whether I'm talented. I don't think you're there to judge my talent. I think I'm talented. I think what you're there for is to be able to know whether I'm right for the role. And that's it.
Yes.
But I definitely remember that one in particular because it had such an impact of me being finally in a.
I mean, you gotta remember, right? Your first one, Warner Brothers lot. Shit, I'll be the static too. Right?
Yeah, no, completely. I was like, oh my God, this is it, Mommy. This is it.
We're here.
But that was one.
I wanted to ask you too. When you, like I said, I was reading your interview in Voyage LA, right? Hidden Roots. You said which the mission to expose the untold stories of people in Hollywood deemed voiceless. What did you mean by that? I found that so deep.
I meant really stories of our people, stories of people of color. from all different walks of life, you know, from Latinos to Indian to Black to, you know, Pacific Islanders. There's so many beautiful stories that haven't been told, you know, so many historical people that have, you know, impacted culture, you know, universal culture that haven't been told, you know. It's like Rubirosa. Rubirosa was Dominican, and that was the first double 007, you know? Like, that's the 007. That's the James Bond. Like, how do you know, how does that story get wiped and not be told, and people not to recognize that, you know, 007 was really, I want to say, personified from a Latino, you know, even down to the Oscar. The Oscar, you know, we have such a huge symbolization of the Oscar of such a highest achievement. Meanwhile, the Oscar was actually a model that was from a Mexican man.
Yes.
You know? So it was a Mexican model that they basically created the Oscar in his image. And so, like, what was that man's story?
Yeah. Well,
you know?
Don't go the most excuse me, the most iconic superhero, Batman. He was inspired by Zorro.
Correct. So it's just those things, you know, and stories of every day, like my parents. And what I mean by the voiceless is that the everyday today worker and entrepreneur. I'm very proud of coming from the family that I come from, because they're immigrants that came to this country legally, and
let them know. Let them know.
I
said, let them know.
Yeah, that's a thing that, you know, and a lot of Latino storylines and narratives that you see in the media is either drug related or crime related or illegal, you know, and it's just like, well, what about all the stories of all the Latinos that have gotten here and have made it here through the army, you know, that have serviced this country through, you know, putting in the work, whether it's through cruise ship or cargo, and have brought food into this country, you know, or have serviced the hotel world as well. Like, all these different facets, and how do their stories, you know, came to be? How do their family came to be? Like, my father came here and he was a taxi driver for 10 years to put himself through college and become a CPA.
Wow.
You know, and that's something like, I want to see that. And my father did immigration law. You know, I became a translator in the state of New York because of my father, because he had me translate all these different documents, from divorces to degrees to marriage licenses. And it was like, a lot of people are in the US because he did all the paperwork and they were able to be given visas. So it's like, I want to see that story on screen of the man that was able to come and throw that rope back and bring more people here, and also go through his trials and tribulations, because it wasn't easy. You know, there was a lot of temptation of trying to go the easy route of, you know, while he was a taxi driver, my father told me, you know, there were so many people that would be like, oye, aquí, take this brick, and, you know, or you just drop it off here, you know, and it's just like, you know, for him not to fall into that temptation of that fast money and easy life, you know, it takes a lot. It takes a lot of moral and value to do that. So it's like
my father fell in that temptation.
Yeah, it's hard, and you know, we don't see those stories. We don't see those narratives on. It wasn't up until the show, I think it's on Apple TV, called Little America. And I don't know if you've checked it out, but it's I hope they have a second season. I don't know if they did, but every episode showcases an immigrant story into this country. And it's they're all true life-based, you know, stories. And I thought that was amazing, you know, and they touch on like the first woman, you know, that came from Africa and created her own like cookie company, you know, and really strived on that and made a whole, like, just a mogul, you know, and made herself a millionaire. And it's just like, that's what I mean. Like, taking on every single project that I take on, I'm like, where's the diversity? Where's the inclusion? What's the story that we're promoting? How are we really changing the narrative and turning it into a positive one and expanding people's knowledge? Because that's what necessarily, I think, to me, racism is obviously taught, but then it's also a lot of ignorance. Yes. You know, I think a lot of people unfortunately don't travel. And if they were to travel and experience so much, I think their outlook on life would be very different. I always tell people that are privileged, I just want to drop them in a third world country and watch them try to survive a week. Try to survive, try to get water. You know what I mean? Because I was raised having to go get water, boil it before I was able to drink it. You know what I mean? That gave me a whole new appreciation for water.
When those times there was no light or
exactly.
was no water.
Galletita y vela. Galletita, queso y vela.
Yes. I remember those days.
Cards out.
Yes, I remember those days vividly.
So those are the stories. Even that itself, that storyline of being in someone's house and playing with the velita.
Yes. And all those people that are privileged are just, talking without experience.
Yeah.
And to you, you can't talk until you actually have experience on certain things to realize that you don't have nothing to say.
Yeah.
Because you understand now.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And people don't understand sometimes their privilege in general.
Yeah.
Up until they aren't. Up until you're one of the masses. And it's like, oh, this is how it feels.
Yeah.
Feel that nice. I will always remember I'm trying to remember this woman's name. I'm not going to remember it, but they did a whole kind of test, kind of I want to say where they treated blue-eyed different than brown-eyed people in the actual audience. And you automatically saw people's inherent, like, why are they getting treated different? Why are they getting treated better? Like, why is blue-eyed better than brown-eyed? And all of a sudden it gave them an opportunity to really know what prejudice feels like based on something that you can't control, as simple as eye color,
Yeah.
And I think until you're oppressed, you don't necessarily know or can inherently empathize with the oppressed.
I feel that.
Mm-hmm.
That speaks volumes of the truth. I feel that 100%.
Yeah. So that's why I said hidden root. I'm like, we're gonna get to the root of people's stories and bring them to the masses, and that's really my mission.
And I feel like that's what's like. That's when it's so important to like go to college or university, right? Because that's when actually you're grown to your fullest, right? And you get now to educate yourself on what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Because from your kindergarten to what is it, like 12th grade, you're being taught this information, what they want to give you.
Yeah,
it's not like I'm even going to school in Puerto Rico. They didn't talk about my people.
Yeah, no, they're talking about America.
Yeah, they gave me a brief description of what Los Indios Taín and what that's one chapter out of so many, right? And that's what, in my opinion, right? I think that's so important. Somebody needs to go to college and university so they can find themselves.
Yeah.
And where they stand. But it's like there's so many people saying you don't need to go to college. I think they're missing the miss. How do I say the of it.
Misinformation. I think so. I think you're absolutely right. I will always remember. I mean, I learned so much while I was at the university. I remember I went to Fordham University, and Fordham was a Jesuit university. So as a Jesuit university, they expected and had you take electives of theology. So, and I will always remember Father Herrick, who had us all, his way of teaching was so amazing because he was just like, all right, we're reading the Pentateuch, the Torah. So we're all Jews now. We're all thinking like Jews. We're all gonna be Jews, And
put
it
you
was
in the zone.
Yeah, it was like, oh, okay, I'm Jewish now. Okay. And then we're like, all right, we're reading the Quran. All right, we're not Muslims. We're all Muslims. And this is, and it was really eye-opening, to take all these different perspectives, all these different teachings from all these different books and find a lot of commonality amongst all of them. And where they can be very well unified, you know? And
Agreed.
had I not went to the university, I probably wouldn't have picked up these books and read them and read them with the intention of understanding. So I always really encourage to go to school, you know, even if it is a trade school, you know, and that will expose you to some things that you're maybe not aware of. I think it's a great thing. And if you're not gonna have the funds, because let's get with it, it's expensive to go to school.
Yeah.
To at least have the self-interest to pick up a book. Because essentially that's what school does. School designates time to have you pick up books
and read,
you know,
and write,
digest them.
and read,
And be able to read and digest enough to write something about it.
Yes.
And maybe keep stuff and retain and memorize. That's what school is.
Yes.
That's it. In a nutshell. You are paying someone to have you make time to do these things.
To read and write.
Yeah, to read and write. And reiterate, you know, because if you reiterate what you learn, then it means like, okay, you retained information. So I've learned, you know, some of my greatest friends that I have that didn't go to college, you know, and are super just highly intellectuals and just really thought-provoking. You learn that they're really avid readers. And avid readers of all different types of literature, going from fiction to nonfiction to documentary, to kind of I want to say the sci-fi and all of that. So yeah, be a reader. That's why I have my whole
boom. Right there you go. You got a locker. Are you prepared?
Yeah, I got a locker right there too.
You're prepared.
I never left school.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's why I got into right now I'm going through Google Coursera. I think I pronounce it Google Coursera. It's like I'm working with Michigan State University School of Journalism to get my journalism certificate, because it's like I find it so intriguing. Yeah, like thank you. I want to be able to just talk to anybody and everybody. I want to get into that. Like you have a fascinating story. It's not just a pretty face behind a smile. Like from your heritage to, you know, working with people, to writing, producing it, and taking a chance on yourself and believing in yourself. Right, to go all the way to LA.
Yeah.
Which is a different monster in itself, and just fucking doing it. No excuses. Just doing it. To starting your own production company.
Yeah, it's the ambitious nature and of learning, of being okay to learn and fail. Yes. I think that's definitely what drives me and keeps me going.
Yes.
And feel that, you know, failure is just how you cope with disappointment. That's it.
Yes.
And as long as I'm failing forward, I'm failing in the right direction.
Yes. Yes. And you're different because like you're smart. You're smart.
Thanks.
But it's like
I know what you mean.
You know what right? I have to explain it for my listeners, viewers, because they're gonna think I'm being fucked up right now. But it's like you go to LA and all you see is pretty faces, and it's all modeling and perception and image, right?
Yeah.
That's the conception that a lot of people have of LA, right?
People banking on their looks.
Yeah, and like they don't know that you're gonna get old one day.
That's right.
Yeah, that shit's ticking.
Beauty fades.
Yes, and
you know, I always say pretty gets pretty boring pretty fast.
Yes, and pretty things. So
you gotta have substance.
Pretty things show ugly lessons, right? And after that phase of which, what do you have left?
Yeah.
Small talk that's just like embarrassing, right?
Yeah.
And so you know, I'm proud to speak to you. I'm proud to have met
Thanks
you.
for having
Like,
me.
man, it was an honor. Shit. Have fun.
Me too.
Have
Totally.
fun. You know, it's crazy. I was trying not to curse, and it's just like I
It's okay.
cursed out of the excitement because like it's somebody doing it. You know, I've been doing this for quite some time, and I've never had a Latino that's actually fucking doing it. That's saying I'm a fail forward, and that's something to be admirable.
Thank you.
And what makes it even amazing is you're female, which is, you know, all the odds are against you because unfortunately we live still in an age and where, you know, men control everything, right?
Mhm.
Oh, so they say, right?
Yeah, they do. They're the gatekeepers.
And you're saying fuck that. You see this truck? I'm a ram it.
That's
It's
it.
gonna go in and that's
Keep
it.
doors open.
Yes.
You can let me in.
Facts. And
Totally.
I'm honored. Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we go, tell the people where they can find you at. You go check out her article now.
Yes, so you can check me out at Lorena Jorge 22 on IG. Right there, my link for my article, Voyage LA, that gives you a really great insight of who I am, what I'm doing, what I've been up to. IG is the most, I guess, presence that I have when it comes to social media. But I do have a Facebook as well, which is Lorena Jorge. And
Boom.
You can find me in those two areas.
Boom. There you go. Go check out, go follow, go support her. I'll definitely put the link in the description when the video comes out.
Thank you. Keep me posted.
Yes, Lorena, it's been an honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Likewise. Have a great, blessed rest of your day.